بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue with our chapter on purification, tahara, and today we talk, now in this lesson we talk about the tayammum or dry ablution. What does one do when one lacks water, or the water that one has does not suffice, or or is in a situation where they have water, however, due to illness, sickness, they are unable to use it. So it's a dispensation when one lacks water, so it's a dispensation that one can perform dry ablution. And what it does is it does not remove, it doesn't lift one's minor or major ritual impurity. So it's not like performing actual wudu with water. It's not like performing actual ghusl with water. But what it does is it allows one to perform the prayer and perform the things that they could not do without ritual purification. Okay. And so the first condition is that one, we said lack water or fears to use it. Fears to use it, meaning that for fear of thirst, or that the fear of an animal that one is riding on, or one's companions, that there's not enough water, you fear going thirsty. And so you also, like we said, from illness, you fear using it. And so illness here, we're talking about something that would cause harm to either one's life or limb, disability, becoming seriously ill, fearing becoming more ill, or increasing one's sickness, or delaying the recovery. Okay, or causes considerable pain, or causes a bad effect as a result of using water. And so if one has, if one has previous experience of this, where, I know that in such and such a situation, when I'm quite sick, if I do use water, I have this specific illness that it causes me considerable pain, or it will take me a much longer time to get better, or I get sick afterwards. If I do wudu, then one is able to do an ablution. At the same time, one can also, of course, depend on the opinion of a doctor, who someone who is knows what they're talking about, whether it's Muslim or non-Muslim. The dry ablution needs to take place at the beginning of the time of the prayer. So if one wants to pray dhuhr, and dhuhr prayer does not come, then if you do your dry ablution before dhuhr, then that doesn't suffice. You have to do it after the time of the prayer that you wish to pray. Okay, so you wait for adhan al-dhuhr, wait for dhuhr time, and then you can perform your wudu, your tayammum. And this is this is fard. You have to perform it. And then if you if you're searching for it, if you lack water, you've searched for it. In other words, you've looked through, you've checked all your bags, checked your luggage, you've asked if there are people around, if you can see a house with a reasonable distance away. Then you've asked for it, and you can't find water, none there. Then you can perform dry ablution, and then you must, in order to perform dry ablution, one needs to use earth. One needs to use something that contains dust. Okay. Even dust contained in sand. Okay, we're talking about sand of the desert that contains dust. It needs to contain dust. Okay, and this is purifying, the sa'idan tayyiban. It's purifying earth. And so if these conditions are met, then one can perform dry ablution. There are 5 integrals. The first is one makes the intention. Okay, intention to do what? To do tayammum. Okay, where's the intention? In the heart. But it's sunnah to utter the intention. You can also make the intention to istibahat as-salah, to make it possible for you to pray. You're not making the intention to remove ritual impurity, because that's not what dry ablution does. Dry ablution only makes it possible legally for one to perform prayer or acts of worship that are necessary for one to be pure. The second integral is that you strike the earth twice. Okay, so once, twice. You wipe your hand. That you strike the earth with your hands. Okay, the palm of your hand. You strike the earth. You can use other things. You can use a handkerchief or something. But you must convey the earth to your arms, to your face and hands and arms. Okay. In other words, you can't stand. What's meant by this? Conveying this, it means you can't stand in a dust storm, with your hands up and your face facing the wind and say, I've done tayammum. The dust has reached my face and hands. You actually have to convey the earth to your body parts. And so you convey the earth up to your face and arms, but you dust off the excess. So that means, let's say you strike the earth once, then you can tap your hands together, side by side. So you're not like clapping them together; you're tapping side by side. And then you wipe your face just like you would for wudu. And then you tap a second time and then wipe your hands right up to, and your arms right up to and including the elbows, just like you would for wudu. Okay. And then you should do it in the order that was mentioned. Okay. There are sunnahs to dry ablution. We'll mention them quickly. To begin with the basmala, just like in wudu, to begin with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. To wipe the right arm before the left arm. To wipe the arms immediately after the face without pause between them. And then there's a description of how the wiping the arms and the palms are done. I won't read it. I'll see if I can find a video that actually shows this. It's much easier. A written description is quite difficult to visualize. So we can do that, inshallah. So what nullifies dry ablution? Well, ritual impurity nullifies it. The occurrence of ritual impurity. And then the appearance of water. If water comes up, then you should do wudu, nullifies it. Although also if you believe that water has come, let's say someone has come along and you can hear the water bottles, or you can hear them say, I think so and so has got water. If you think that, then that nullifies the dry ablution. Now, one thing to note is that one needs to do dry ablution at the beginning of every time. So let's say that you've done dry ablution for dhuhr, and then asr time comes, you need to do another dry ablution. Even if you haven't gone to the lavatory, even if you haven't, even if there hasn't been an occurrence of ritual impurity, okay? You still have to do dry ablution again. But this is only for prescribed prayers. For doing tayammum. So a few things to note about dry ablution. There are certain circumstances where one actually has to repeat one's prayer, such as in situations where if you're in your home and you perform dry ablution because there's a lack of water. Okay, so you're in a place where there's usually water, but for some reason at a specific time there's no water, then the prayer that you do for tayammum needs to be made up later on. Okay, and so the rule is that whoever performs the prayer without full ritual purity because of a rare excuse must make up his prayer. As when, a certain place is cut off from water for a short period of time. However, if one performs a dry ablution in a place where there's rarely any water, then it's not obligatory to make up that prayer. Like if you're in the middle of the desert, and so on. And so we will stop here and we'll discuss dry ablution for tayammum, dry ablution for injuries, tayammum for injuries in the next section, the next lesson. And we'll talk about the last few topics on purification, which is on menstruation, postnatal bleeding, and then chronic annulment of ablution, as well as actions that one cannot do without ritual purity. And then that will inshallah conclude the second chapter on purification, and we can move on to salah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.